Salam alaikum and welcome to Shaah with the European Union. I'm your host, Kalson Abdi. Shaah with the European Union is a new vlog series where we interview European Union staff, implementing partners, development staff as well, experts, stakeholders such as civil society, and ordinary Somalis on how EU projects have impacted their lives. My Shaah series will focus predominantly on jobs and employment situation in Somalia in order to provide more insight on where the jobs are. For today's episode, we will be talking to Fardosa Abdullahi. Fardosa Abdullahi is the Social Protection Coordinator at the Ministry of Labor. She is also the project manager of Bahnano, which is a poverty reduction program which was recently launched. Welcome to the program, Fardosa.
Thank you so much, Kalson. Thank you for having me. And I am a very big fan of your work. And it's really interesting to see Somali girls coming back to Somalia and really contributing in every way that they can.
Excellent. So Fardosa, what is the Ministry of Labor currently doing to mitigate the challenges brought on by COVID-19? It's been such a big situation for us here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first of all, COVID-19 has been a pandemic which really swept the whole world, and it looks like it has brought it to a new world order. And the challenges of COVID-19 has not only impacted the health situation globally, but also impacted on the employment, the social, the psychological, and so on. And so currently Somalia has taken the tough measures that the whole world has taken in terms of closing the borders, in terms of ensuring the pandemic does not affect the rest of the society. So Ministry of Labor has taken few steps to ensure that the private sector who are lost or their income has been reduced. And we've advocated for the government to ensure that people get, the private sector gets tax reduction so that they can keep the employment and the employees still on. The ministry also issued directive for employments to work from home and any way that they can to avoid the spread of the virus. The civil servants have been asked to also work from home to ensure that the spread does not go beyond the way it is. And we've also been frequently engaged with the employers, urging them to adapt preventative measures and on the productive sector, and also provide strategic directions on ensuring that people don't lose their jobs.
Okay.
And so those are the things that we have been doing. But as you are aware, even before the COVID, employment rate has been very low in the global south, especially in Somalia. So the COVID has really exacerbated the already strain on the employment.
Okay. Could you please tell us a little bit about the newly launched Bahnano program on poverty reduction? What is it and how does it work?
Thank you so much. Before I jump into the Bahnano, I would like to speak a little bit and take us back to where Bahnano really came from. And for the last good 2 years, we have been working on ensuring that the country has a social protection policy, which is really the first of its kind. It looks onto social assistance, where Bahnano was derived from. It also looks at the access to services for the most vulnerable of the society. It looks on the system building, because as we are aware, the last 30 years, we have been losing the system part of the government, and also ensuring people people who don't have to normal activities will be able to access either trainings or employment, as well as insurance. So the insurance part of it is such as pension and pension. People, when people work and they reach the age of pension, what happens to them? And so the pension also comes under social protection portfolio. And so that is really where the policy was derived. It was adopted by the cabinet somewhere in July of 2019 and launched in September of 2019, 17th of September 2019, the social protection policy was launched.
Okay.
And it is a very comprehensive document. I would love to ask people to really read, and it will give them a very good insight of where we want the country to be in the next 24 years. Okay. And on that policy, we've also worked on a strategic document, which is the implementation framework, which really is not going to be just the Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs implementing it. It will be implemented across the government, as well as having all our stakeholders and our partners, whether they will be the civil society, the donors, as well as the NGOs, also going to be part of really ensuring people do get services. Okay. So Bahnano, coming back to Bahnano again, it's a national program. It is led by Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs, implemented through really a very different approaches where the federal member states and the district level are also involved in ensuring the rights people are receiving the benefit.
So you mentioned the fact that we have a 70% youth population in Somalia. Could you please just tell us maybe how this program or other initiatives within the Labour Ministry is catering to this population specifically?
Yeah, thank you so much, Kalson, for asking that really the million-dollar question. I always say, what do we do with the 70% youth that we have? And so the ministry has actually endorsed in the cabinet an employment policy. So the country has now employment policy, and which was supposed to be launched about a month and a half, 2 months ago before the COVID. However, due to the COVID, we could not launch that policy. So the employment is really, and I would say, something which is beyond just Ministry of Labour. We need the private sector to generate employment. And we need enabling environments to ensure that the private sector can be able to do that. And that's something that through the employment policy consultation, we came to really look at which sectors the private sector can generate employment. And with the challenges that we all know, such as the high prices of energy and security, which is really now being resolved. Okay. And so at the ministry level, what we are working on, and it's also going to be part of the Bahnano, is having a productive safety net, having cash for work programs for the youth. So what we need to ensure is we do not leave the youth not having the private sector cater for all the needs of the employment, but also create cash for work programs which will it will help the gap of the employment. So employment generated activities is also part of our initiatives that we want to be starting soon.
Okay, so this is amazing.
On a nutshell, I would say Bahnano is actually starting to, in the next few months, starting to work towards a cash for work program.
Yes. I think the significance of this, to just mention to our audience, is that this is a program that is coming in to an environment where we are emerging out of 30 years of civil war. So these steps are, monumental steps for us and for the Somali population and community as a large, considering that this did not exist before. I think that's the most important thing that I would like our audience to know, is that it's a huge step forward for us. We've talked about employment. How about training? Because training is a huge component of getting our workforce ready to work, Is the Ministry of Labor working with the educational institution to ensure that there is, the right training for the right jobs for the future?
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out. I think training is really the key. And as we know that most of the education now has been up to maybe even master's programs within the country, we are aware of the education institutions really providing a big number of students who have been educated up to a certain level. However, that does not mean that it matches the market. So the Ministry of Labor is actually one of the mandates of the Ministry of Labor is to ensure that the TVET trainings, where Ministry of Education and Ministry of Labor are working very much closely to look at the gaps and on ensuring the employment gaps. We have recently done a survey and which is looking at the labor market survey in the whole country. The document will come out soon, so that document will really tell us where the gaps are. And we also have a very big numbers coming from outside, which we think can be, if trained well, can really generate a big income for the Somali citizens. So the labor market survey that we have currently undertaken is really going to tell us where the gap is, but the ministry is also working on trainings, on looking at what the gap is and ensuring that we have. The EU and are also part of the supporting the TVET trainings in the country. And we're also working on a policy on trainings that we ensure all the trainings are certified, are really not anyone can come into the country to just do any trainings that the country might not need. So there are policies being developed as we speak.
Excellent. So my last question, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions that will generate after our program. So what new and exciting policies or developments should we look forward to from your ministry or from your department?
And if I get the honor of ensuring that I speak on behalf of the ministry, there is a lot of exciting things that we are undertaking. We have recently restructured the ministry from 11 departments to now 7. And one of the really interesting is the safety at work and departments, which is not only going to look at the safety of the workers, but also ensuring that the private sector or anybody who is employing someone is giving the rights of the workers. So I would say perhaps maybe that is one of the most exciting things, that people will know when they go to their workplaces, they do have legal requirements where they have to ensure that there are certain things which will be mandated by the employers to provide for their employees, such as PPEs and so on. And we've currently seen people working in a very harsh environment without the protective equipments. Someone may be building something without really the protective of ensuring if they fall down, where do they go? And maybe even on the social protection is unemployment benefits. If someone loses their job in the private sector, are they left alone? Or if they become sick, what happens to them, and so on? Wow. There's also labor code, which is now seated in the parliament, which will also has all this different mechanism in place, and the rights of the workers as well as the rights of the private sector.
Wow. So a lot of good things to look forward to. We are hoping that we come out of this COVID situation, because there is actually, you're right, a lot of good things to look forward to. And one of them definitely is the safety and security for people, employees. So inshallah, thank you very much for your time. we really appreciate you taking the time to enlighten us and share information about the Ministry of Labor with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kalson.